Happy Friday, Notre Dame fans. Mike Singer and Kyle Kelly live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel talking Notre Dame football recruiting. 22 days away until Notre Dame opens the season on the road against Texas A&M. I'm Mike Singer. Kyle Kelly is next to me on your screen, and we are a couple of recruiting writers over at blueandgold.com. Appreciate you folks watching live, watching back, and listening to this via podcast. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Kyle, how you doing, my friend?
I got a question for you, Mike.
Go ahead.
Have you ever had that feeling where like your stomach literally drops when you hear like something crazy or like something crazy happens?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I just saw a Hayes Fawcett tweet pop up on my phone. Of course,
I
I
did
had
too.
this, Twitter notifications on, and my stomach literally dropped, like my heart dropped. So gotta take a deep breath here. No Deuce Knight news yet, one way or the other. We're all on pins and needles to find out what's gonna happen there, as you are Notre Dame fans, and I'm sure we'll touch on that in the show. But that's how I just started out my afternoon, is by that Hayes Fawcett tweet. One of the best in the industry, on 3 national recruiting analysts, the guru of graphics. So yeah, man, we're just I think we're all feeling the same right about now.
Yeah, just looking over at the YouTube chat, everyone's got their tin-foiled hats on and loving any message board rumor that pops up. And we're reporting on the whole Deuce Knight saga at blueandgold.com as well. I threw up a post on Friday morning. So if you want to get subscribed over at blueandgold.com, the great thing is that, Kyle, I think this offer still stands. Have you heard anything otherwise?
Proceed with caution, but if this one doesn't stand, I know there's a couple other ones out there. For example, our guy Steve Wiltfong, the national recruiting analyst. Actually, sorry, he's the VP of recruiting, vice president of recruiting over at On3. You can use his code. It's Fong, Fong, and I know it's $1 for 1 year. So, or sorry,
$1
a month. For a month.
I was about to say,
yeah,
damn.
we got away from the dollar for a year, man. So. $1 for a month. Use that long. That's the one to go with.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, we'll just start with Knight, I guess. It really, Kyle, you are looking fresh, by the way. Look good, man. Nice haircut. Great polo. Okay. Anyways, it very much is a situation where one hour it's great, the next it's you don't, and you're trying to put pieces together and read in between the lines, and you get something from this source and this something from this source, and sometimes it's conflicting. Last night I was like, ain't no way, bye-bye. This morning things are looking better, or that there's at least a path for it to stick with the Irish. So that's kind of where it's at, Kyle. So we'll continue to track it at Blue and Gold and see where it goes from here. I think either way, Notre Dame's quarterback room is in a good spot. Like if you keep Deuce Knight, you add a 5-star caliber type guy to it. If not, still got a really young, talented quarterback in CJ Carr. You got Noah Grubbs in the 2026 class, and you still have time to evaluate senior season tape, at least like the first couple games, right? And go after someone new and see where that goes. So that is very much where it's at. Sly Fox saying, so you're telling me there's a chance. One of the best movies ever, Dumb and Dumber, telling you there's a chance. So we will see where it goes from here. It's one of those things, Kyle, where this really works out for Notre Dame, right? With these committed guys taking visits elsewhere, and it's like, all right, how many times do I have to be fooled? But I keep coming back to the well, I guess. So here we are. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I know I texted you kind of out of the blue this morning that I had to make a 2-hour drive. We had some stuff going on at my house, so had some time to think before today's live show. And I was thinking a lot about this Deuce recruitment and kind of what's going to happen one way or the other. And the one thing that I thought about in the back of my mind is that no matter what happens with Deuce Knight, I think Notre Dame did the right thing by recruiting him. Regardless of the outcome, because you are so confident in that quarterback room right now with CJ Carr. Like CJ Carr looked as good as any freshman quarterback I think could have ever looked last spring, and we haven't really gotten to see a whole lot of him this preseason camp, just with the way the setup's been. But from all indications, has continued to perform very well in fall camp. So I was just thinking about this with Deuce Knight, like knowing that you have CJ Carr, who, for all intents and purposes, looks like the future of the Notre Dame football program at quarterback. You have to swing big in the 2025 cycle. And Notre Dame literally got out their biggest stick possible and went to the deep south for a quarterback that who is, I wouldn't say in the conversation for the number one quarterback in the country, because I think consensus there is Bryce Underwood from Michigan. Um, but I think Deuce Knight is firmly in that conversation to be the number two guy in the class. His ascension this summer specifically has been remarkable. So I think Notre Dame, they did the right thing here by chasing after Deuce. Will they sign him? Everyone's waiting to find out. And even if they don't, I think I'm confident enough. This is not 2023 anymore. This isn't the 20, or sorry, it would have been 2022, the 2023 cycle when Notre Dame missed on Dante Moore and miraculously flipped Kenny Minchie from Pittsburgh late in the process. I have more confident Notre Dame this time around flipping a quarterback if they do lose Deuce Knight, because the potential this season with Mike Denbrock helm and Riley Leonard at quarterback. So that's my final thought. I guess we see what happens, but I don't think we can, get on Notre Dame too much for the decision to recruit Deuce, because I really think it's the right move one or the other.
Okay, I was muted. Okay, cool. Love that. Love that journey for me. Sorry, podcast audience, for the break. Great opportunity to look over at the YouTube chat and see everyone's here. We got Mark's here. We got Mike, Jeremy, Tom, Caleb, Murder Cow. Okay, nice. I know you can hear me now. Okay. Just big time program over here. Moving forward for the show, I wrote this article, 5 Notre Dame commits who are in store for stock raising senior seasons. It is that time of the year where I've talked about this a lot lately, where it's like it's either the biggest, like the only thing that's happening in Notre Dame recruiting right now is just the biggest storylines of the year. Your Derek Meadows, your Deuce Knight, your who do they go after now at receiver recruiting. But other than those things, there's like nothing. It's so slow right now. No new offers. There's no visits. It's like, all right, how many times can we check in on the same 2026 recruits? And yeah, I'm talking to Notre Dame. It's like, okay, so we kind of got to come up with some content. So I wrote an article, 5 Notre Dame commits who are in store for stock raising senior seasons. And here's my 5. This was a premium article at Blue and Gold. And we're giving it away to our YouTube folks for free. You can obviously read this as I have it pulled up on the screen. My first one here, and this was in alphabetical order, and I'm going to read these 5, and we'll hear from Kyle. We'll give his takes as well. I got DePaul Catholic receiver Elijah Burris. That's in New Jersey. I really liked what we saw from him at Irish Invasion in June. Very competitive, ran pretty well. I think he ran like a 4.6 in the 40-yard dash. He might be more of like a possession guy. He doesn't have that explosive speed, like a 4.3, 4.4, but I think like he's just going to be like a solid number 3 kind of receiver. He can play in the slot. He can play to the field. I think Elijah Burris, just a technician, as a route runner. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the upside for Elijah Burris moving forward. And I know Notre Dame sources believe that he's undervalued. Chris Burgess was one for me. And this was something where I very much like came up with this list and then bounced it off of my various sources, what they think. And this is kind of the list that I came up with from that. Chris Burgess, and I wrote in this article, like a lot of the discussion about him is the potential, but I think he might be able to tap into that potential this year. So we can see that evaluation that Notre Dame and Michigan and Ohio State and a bunch of other programs had in Chris Burgess. He's raw, and this coaching staff will get to work with him when he gets to campus next year. But I think we're going to see a different Chris Burgess this year as a pass rusher, not just a guy just playing off of raw strength and athleticism. I think he's going to put it together more as a pass rusher. Tampa Berkeley prep defensive back Dallas Golden. Uh, I, I I think he's got a chance to move up in the rankings some, but for me, Dallas Golden, I think his stock can raise he's just such a freaking good high school football player. Running back, wide receiver, corner, safety, he can really do it all. And I think like after his phenomenal junior season, 1,400 rushing yards, 19 touchdowns, had 5 picks, like good in special teams as well and handling return duties. I think Golden's just going to have another big time season. Led Berkeley Prep to a state championship in 2023. I think Dallas Golden is just going to continue to impress. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Pound for pound, I think that he is the best athlete in Notre Dame's 2025 recruiting class. And then wrapping up with 2 more. Got Dom Hulock. Hulock, Kyle? Or Hulack? Okay, Kyle's laughing at me. Hulock, guys.
Ulak, indeed.
Long-time listeners of the show will get the joke. I feel pretty good about him. He played his junior season at about 225 pounds. He's up to like 240. Notre Dame was originally recruiting him as a linebacker. Now it's as a Viper pass rusher. I mean, Kyle, before I go to the next guy, do you believe that he's going to play more like strictly defensive end, or you still think he's going to play middle linebacker like he did? Because he kind of bounced around between both last year, just watching his highlight tape.
Yeah, I feel like he's kind of outgrown the linebacker position. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him solely off the edge this year. And that's something I'm going to ask Hulock later today. We'll check in with him and we'll see what's up.
Yeah, Notre Dame loves this evaluation. Like, Hulock doesn't have like the most big time offer lists: Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue, Missouri, Louisville, Stanford, Michigan State. Like just kind of, good solid P5 teams. Notre Dame stands out on his list. But I think that, this is going to be one that Notre Dame's evaluation looks good. And then James Flanagan, his athletic stocker, this article is up after his fantastic track and field season. Charles Power texted me out of the blue, a few months back. He was like, dude, I am just fascinated with James Flanagan and what he did, and, shot put and discus and all that kind of stuff. Just really freakish numbers, and not going to get a ton of targets because it's more of a run first offense and they're blowing out teams by halftime. But even with that, he caught 27 passes for 503 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's actually pretty solid numbers for a tight end at the high school level. And then especially when you consider, it's run first offense and they are usually up by like 40 at halftime. I think in just 3 games last year, it was even competitive. They lost 2 games, and 1 game they won by 5 points. Otherwise, it's just all blowouts, and I think 12 or 13 games or something like that. I am thinking that James Flanagan, if he gets the opportunities, I think people are going to see why On 3 is a good bit higher on James Flanagan than the rest of the industry. Yeah, On 3 ranks him as the number 92 overall player, number 5 tight end. Rivals just has a 4-star outside their top 250, and then ESPN and 24/7 have them ranked fairly similarly. So that is my group of 5. Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I just wanted to start with Flanagan because I'm with you there, man. I think I've said on the show and on the Loose Emoji message board a whole lot that he's my favorite player in the class. He's a guy that I like a lot. I've even floated out there at times. I think he's got like 5-star potential. Like that's how highly I think of James Flanagan. Like I think at the end of the cycle, if we were to rank like how we felt the Notre Dame's commit stacked up, I think James Flanagan would be super high on my list. So if he can continue to ascend during senior season, I see him going up and being improved in the rankings. And then a couple of guys that I was thinking about when you pitched this topic to me was some guys that are a little bit further down the list as well. And the one guy I feel like it's just you have to mention is Daniel Anderson, the running back from Bryant, Arkansas, 3-star running back commit. He had a really fascinating recruitment as Notre Dame was pretty much like the only big time school to offer him. They were the first basically big time school to offer him. I know like Mississippi State and maybe Tennessee got involved, but I'm not sure how big of a player they were in his recruitment. So by the time his recruitment really had the chance to get started, he was already committed to the game. Then he had a junior season where he was sidelined for much of the year, was banged up, didn't really get the chance to, prove himself and give him a chance to move up in the rankings. So I think Daniel Anderson is a guy that could make his way up there. Another guy I like it's whose ranking and rating is a little bit further down Notre Dame's commit list is Gordy Solfstead. Another guy that Notre Dame, well, this one they got involved late, a 3-star guy out of Cincinnati St. Xavier. I think has a lot of potential. He's thin. He doesn't look like your prototypical defensive lineman from a weight aspect. I mean, I know he's 235, but he's a slender 235. So if he continues to tack on the weight, show the power and strength on his tape, I think that he could very well climb up in the rankings. So I think those are 3 guys. I mean, I've been pretty excited about Ethan Long in the past, about his potential. I think he's a little bit underrated as a 485 player. I think 41 safety in the class. Just looking through. And the last one that I did have on my mind is Joseph from Elmhurst, Illinois, York Community School in Chicago area. I know this is a guy who made a big jump after his junior season. So I don't know how much further he'll have to climb in the rankings, but he's really impressive, man. I love what I saw of Joe Reef at the Irish Invasion camp. Just as you can tell, like this guy was born to play football. His dad played football at the college level and was very impressive. So those are some of the guys on my mind that I think could get a bump this fall with some good senior years.
Just reading the chat. Why do you guys take so long to upload these shows podcast? I mean, I literally do it. We do this right after the show within 2 hours. So it's not me, it's you, brother. Just so you know. Yeah, we put these up right away. Going to hear from our friends over at the Rogue Shop. It's been a while since we've been able to talk about the Rogue Shop. The husband and wife outfit, as Mr. Rogue and his wife Shar are craft cannabis farmers who specialize in small batch, sustainable plant medicine, a true holistic type of small business. They farm and grow everything themselves and do everything by hand. Their website to visit is rogueshop.com, ROGUE shop.com. They sell things from, or they sell everything from, CBD, THC, edibles, tinctures, smokables, bath salts, pain creams, topicals, vapes, candles, soaps, and more. Head to the website, rogueshop.com, and check out the chat function as well, where you can ask Shar and Mr. Rogue any questions that you might have. So make sure you go to rogueshop.com for any pain, chronic pain issues, sleeping, anxiety, stress problems. Rogueshop.com is the place to go check out. Always have different items going on, deals going on, and you can always hop on and chat with the owners and tell them that Mike Singer from Blue and Gold sent you. Rogueshop.com. Moving along, Kyle. 5 recruits in the 2026 class. Look, we're still putting the finishing touches here on the 2025 class. Notre Dame. Notre Dame's still doing that. But in the meantime, we got to talk some 2026 recruiting. Before you know it, all focus is kind of going to be a 2026 class. You're going to get all these commitments, and not all focus, but a lot of the focus is going to be on the next class. Notre Dame is going to get its quarterback situation figured out, the receiver. Before you know it, it's going to be about the 26 cycle. So 5 early targets that are, what did I say, Kyle? The most biggest gets or something like that. So I'm going to go through. I had Kyle send me his 5 so I could pull the profiles, but I did not look at his list until I had already made my own. Okay. And it was pretty good. We were in a pretty strong agreement here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We both had Trent Mosley.
Surprised. Let's go.
We both had Trent Mosley. Partly due to, look, he's not like the highest ranked guy on 3. I mean, has him as on 300 players, still 3 stars because they don't have as many 4 stars early in the cycle. But, the number 149 overall player, number 23 wide receiver, like, not because, like, oh, he's a 5-star and, oh, he's 6'4". No, he's 5'10", 170 pounds. Like, Trent Mosley's a really, really good player. But I think part of the reason is, like, Notre Dame's got to land one of these Mosleys, right? I mean, has to land one of the Mosley. You didn't get Emmett. Their parents were double Notre Dame legacy. Like he's a double Notre Dame legacy, right? His mom, Cindy, won like the Heisman equivalent in women's soccer. And then, his, their dad's played at Notre Dame. Excuse me. Their dad played at Notre Dame. Come on, Singer. Pull together. Emmett ends up at Stanford. And I don't know what other Notre Dame websites have said, but he was a priority for Notre Dame. And I just don't think he wanted to go to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got to land Trent Mosley. I mean, it's just got to get this one done, Kyle.
Yeah, he's a big time target, and our guy Tim Hyde will like this note where Trent Mosley plays his high school football is in that Trinity League, which is pretty much the top conference in all of high school football. You have your St. John Bosco's, your Mater Deis, all the top powerhouse programs that are among the best schools nationally, all in one conference. And Trent Mosley, as a sophomore in that conference, was a co-MVP because he had 81 catches for about 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. And then he rushed for 270 yards and I think 15 more touchdowns. Like, how impressive for a sophomore in that league to post those types of numbers and not be on a Mater Dei or a St. John Bosco. So you said it, man. Double Notre Dame legacy. Like, I think there's something about Notre Dame that might be connecting more with Trent than what did with Emmett. But yeah, this is a guy Notre Dame's got to get. They need elite wide receivers, and I think Trent Mosley's on the verge of being one of those guys.
Yeah, and he visited Notre Dame in June. It was kind of like a low-key visit. I don't think it was reported until I found out about it like a month afterwards. And he wanted to come back for Grill and Chill, but wasn't able to make it. Tyler Merrill was on my list. Notre Dame is going heavy on the interior offense. Like, Notre Dame feels really good about its tackles moving forward, and they have 3 tackles in the 2025 class. Not saying that one of the 2025 guys won't end up on the interior, but they're all coming in as tackles. So I think Notre Dame's going to take, probably 2 interior offensive linemen in this upcoming class. Could even be 3 and then 1 tackle. I don't know. Kind of too early to project those numbers. But Tyler Merrill for me is I really like the couple guys from Michigan. You have Greg Patrick, and then who's the other one, Kyle?
Ben Nichols.
Ben Nichols. Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of these, kind of this group. But Tyler Merrill from Mechanicsburg, PA, Cumberland Valley would be my pick. Number 66 overall player, number 6 interior offensive lineman in the 2026 class. For me, I would have him on my list. So I have a receiver and interior offensive lineman. I don't think you had Merrill on your list, did you?
No, but I will say that ironically, even though he's not from Michigan, this feels like a Rocco Spindler type recruitment where Notre Dame is going to be in an absolute dogfight with Michigan. And then Penn State is the other one. I don't know how involved Penn State was for Rocco Spindler. You would know. I doubt
A
they
little
were.
bit more. Yeah, a little bit more than people thought. Yeah.
Yeah, so but I think those are the three schools along with Notre Dame for Tyler Merrill that are going to be battling. And
Yeah.
I think this might be a Rocco Spindler type of recruitment for Notre Dame. Good thing working for their favor here is Joe Rudolph's from Pennsylvania. And I know Merrill and people within that recruitment do appreciate that.
RK Anderson says with 105 scholarships, why don't you think they'll take 3 to 4? The thing about that is
every school has that argument. Like these guys.
Look, no one knows what they're going to do yet. No one, like Kyle,
Yeah.
I don't even think we know when this is going to go into effect. So I'm sure it will be for the 26 class, but like no one really has a plan for this yet. They don't know when it's going to affect. Like we're going to proceed as normal. And then if Notre Dame's going to say, oh, we're just going to take 105 scholarship guys and how they're going to do that, then we'll figure it out from there. But more scholarships doesn't necessarily solve problems. Like it can, but it's not just like, oh, just throw more numbers at it and solve problems. Like this is not EA College Football 25. Like I say this a lot. Like we like to think of these things as black and white and it's like a video game. Like it's just names and numbers on a screen. But when it's, sometimes like keeping an offensive line room at, 15 scholarship guys would be better than 20. So just an example there. So a long way to say we don't know what Notre Dame's going to do with it yet. We don't know. They're much more focused on like a Deuce Knight than figuring out what to do with more scholarships. That is not even going to happen, for anytime soon. So, so moving along. So that's my first two. I got Tyler Merrill and Trent Mosley. My third is Rodney Dunham. Kyle, I think you had him on your list.
Absolutely, sure
Yeah.
do.
So for me, I'm like, let's look at some of the key positions. We're not going to take a quarterback because why would we put a quarterback on here? Notre Dame's already got in committed. Offensive line, got to protect your quarterback. Receiver, got to have someone to throw the ball to from the quarterback. And defensive end, go get the other team's quarterback. Everything revolves around the quarterback here, right? So these key positions, the best players, and I think best players that they also have a chance with. Ronnie Dunham is, I think Kyle, you'd agree with me. He's a Notre Dame type kid for sure. He's a top 50 overall player according to the On3 industry ranking. Had a really good visit to Notre Dame in April, and I would assume he'll get back for a game this fall. North Carolina is an important state for the Irish this year, or I should say in the 2026 class. Kyle, did you have him on your list for similar reasons? I mean, he's a really good pass rusher.
Yeah, I think we thought about this the same way. Like we place premium on the positions that are most important. And I think edge rusher not only is obviously one of the most important positions on the field, but I think it's one of the important positions of need for Notre Dame moving forward. So that's why I'm all in on Rodney Dunham as well. 55 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 20 pressures, and 7 sacks last year. So one thing that's going to be fascinating to watch in this recruitment is some of the top players in North Carolina are starting to go to Tennessee. Our guy Steve Wiltfong just logged a prediction for the Vols to land a 5-star plus offensive tackle David Sanders from Providence Day today, and the top quarterback in the class, Faison Brandon, or I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Yep, the top guy. He's committed to Tennessee. He's from North Carolina, and I know Tennessee's involved in Dunham's recruitment. So this is going to be a hard-hitting heavyweight battle for Notre Dame. So that's why I'm with you that he's a guy that Notre Dame has to land, and if they do, this would be one of Marcus Freeman's marquee recruiting victories.
All right, I've got two more. And so far, Kyle, you and I have matched on 2. Was Thomas Davis in yours?
Yeah, he was not. No.
Yeah, I mean, continue the NFL pipeline thing, right? Thomas Davis Sr. played in the NFL for the Panthers for a long time. And I mean, Davis Jr., number 116 overall player, number 9 linebacker. This would be another, like Notre Dame continuing strong linebacker recruiting under Marcus Freeman and Al Golden. I think this would be like another big time get for the Irish, and another prospect from North Carolina, Davis Jr. At Weddington High School, so the Irish can exercise some, recruiting demons from 5 cycles ago, and with Will Shipley, well, one of my favorite recruitments ever to cover. So yeah, Tom Davis Jr. I admittedly haven't watched a whole lot of his tape, but just knowing from how much Notre Dame values him, and the fact that, well, I shouldn't say the fact that, but Notre Dame likely leads in this recruitment. So I think that they need to close on him. Like, just get that linebacker defensive class in general class started strong. So Thomas Davis Jr. And then my last one, Mr. Kelly, is another one that we were on the same. RJ Sermons, like, yeah, now get someone to pick off the opposing team's quarterback, right? There's a few other guys I could have gone with. Brandon Lockhart, the USC commit, Blaine Bradford, elite safety from the South, who we might talk about later on in the show. But Sermons, USC legacy, Kyle, give me a nod. USC legacy. Oregon's involved, but he visited Notre Dame. I want to say it was in like April. April 13th. Visited USC, a bunch of the local schools. This will be a tough one to win, no doubt about it. But yeah, I don't know what's happening to my computer here. But yeah, I think that I don't know how much Notre Dame has a shot right now. I've heard good things about how much he likes the Fighting Irish, but just I mean, for this one, I was like, all right, who's the top corner, out there, and does Notre Dame have a chance with them? And that's where I landed on Sermons.
Yeah, this is another one that you want to talk about true heavyweight battles and just a dogfight of a recruitment. This is what RJ Sermons is going to be. I believe Notre Dame is going to be up to the task for going for him, but like when you see Oregon's involved for a guy, I think where Sermons is from is considered SoCal. When you see Oregon is involved, that is scary because they have dominated that area and securing the top players from that area. And I know Sermons had a really good visit to Notre Dame in the spring, but they got to get him back to campus. He's a USC legacy, and part of the reason I went with RJ Sermons on my list is, I'm not a Charles Power where I watch all these guys and know, every guy across the nation and know, the top guys, everything like that. But it just doesn't really seem like this year is as deep or as strong for cornerback in the 26 cycle, especially in the Midwest. There's a couple of guys, and they're all from Ohio, and Ohio State's trending for them. But ironically, I don't think the Buckeyes have recruited the state incredibly well with the top prospects in the 25 cycle. So that may give Notre Dame a little bit more of a chance with those guys. I know Bill is the number one guy on Notre Dame's board, the top guy in the rankings, but he's going to be tough to beat out for state. I think Notre Dame has a little bit more traction right now with Sermons, which is why I included him in my 5 guys.
Okay, so you had Sermons, Dunham, and Trent Mosley. Here's Kyle's last 2 to round out his top 5 biggest 2026 must-gets for the Irish. You are going for a Chicagoland kid here, Mikhail Blade, 6'5", 230 pounds, defensive lineman, top 100 prospect for the On3 industry ranking.
Yeah, this is like the ironically, he's ranked similarly to Christopher Burgess, and they both go to the same school, but he kind of reminds me of the Nathaniel Marshall prospect in this class, where he's that big-time, like, elite interior defensive lineman from the Chicago area. and Miami's involved here, which does concern me because they've recruited Chicago defensive linemen incredibly well with Justin Scott and Marquise Lightfoot, two former Notre Dame targets. So yeah, I'm all in on Mikhail Blade here being a guy Notre Dame has to get out of the Windy City to continue building up that defensive line. Like, Mikhail Blade is incredibly impressive with his size. He's every bit of 6'5". His hands are absolute ginormous. Like, he is, like, if you want to talk about a guy that could make Charles Powers, like, little freaks lists that he does, like, Mikhail Blade seems like one of those guys. So he wants to stay closer to home, but how many times have we heard that from other Chicago area recruits that have gone elsewhere? So Notre Dame looks great early on in this process, but they got to continue to get him to campus, keep him engaged, and hopefully add another Windy City recruit to that already talented defensive line.
And number 5 for you, Cal, you got another wide receiver, a speedy one from Virginia.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame, this has been a big emphasis on the program in general, is just to add speed to the roster. That's the reason why Notre Dame hired Lauren Lando. And Connor Salmon has exactly what Notre Dame's looking for with his speed. He is a 10-4 guy in the 100-meter, which is just remarkable time. Like, those times are some of the best in the country, and Connor Salmon has it, even though he's not a true track like athlete. He specializes in football, so to speak, and it's his secondary sport. And he just played wide receiver for the first time last year and had 1,100 receiving yards, like over 50 catches, like probably a dozen touchdowns. So he's a big-time player. And this is one I'm going to look for Mike Brown. This is a recruiting victory or a recruiting battle that he has to win. Mike Brown is from Virginia. Connor Salmon is your Notre Dame prototypical kid, high academic kid. But he's also got another highly competitive recruitment. LSU, for example, is one that's involved here. Like, I think Ohio State's offered as well. So it is, even though his ranking might not show it right now, but he's a guy that I really truly think could be like a top 50 guy or 5-star potential. He kind of reminds me of a guy in the 23 class, I think 24 cycle, out of, I think it was Idaho, Glenn Bear, who was another high speed guy in the 100-meter. Who ended up signing with Michigan. I think it was Oregon. He was trending to Michigan at one. Notre Dame never went after him for whatever reason, but I think Connor Salmon is similar to that guy.
Okay. Folks, Notre Dame football season just around the corner. We know you're going to be in South Bend, and we know you love unique Notre Dame memorabilia. And just one-of-a-kind Fighting Irish items that you can find at one spot, and that is Augie's Locker Room. Seriously, where are you going to get all of these signed Notre Dame helmets, a 1962 Notre Dame football? Like, are you kidding me? I mean, some of this stuff is just so unique. Plus, Notre Dame tailgate truck with accessories. I mean, a Notre Dame golf flag signed by Marcus Freeman. Augie's Locker Room is a one-of-a-kind place. So if you're local, if you're in town for a Notre Dame event, whatever the case may be, you got to make time for Augie's Locker Rooms just down the street from campus. Check out their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockney items, Joe Montana signed items, famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's bronze replicas of the bronze statues that you find around the stadium. Auggie gets new stuff in all of the time. If he doesn't have something you want, just give Auggie a call. It's 574-277-6363. He's going to go find it for you, just like he found Mike Goolsby's old jerseys. See the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890 when you go to auggiesLockerRoom.com. So you can go in store. You can also, looks like you can purchase online. There you go. I mean, come on. Purchase online. Get some discounts as well. And whatever deals Augie's got going on. So auggiesLockerRoom.com, the place for Notre Dame memorabilia. Kyle, I feel like it has been ages since I've been on the road to see a recruit. It's just been when who did I go out and see last? Like a camp? Did I go to any camps? I know I did, and I went to the On Three Elite Series. But like, man, it just feels like ages since I've seen some of these recruits in action. And I'll be hitting the road next Friday, heading down to Orlando to see a certain Notre Dame quarterback commit. So wanted to talk about a few guys that we both are very excited that we know we're going to see this fall. I've got two, and you're going to give us three, I think. I have two of them pulled up, so you'll have to remind me on the third one. Actually, no, I know who it is, but I already closed it out, so let me pull it up. Okay, I got it. So I'm going to go through my first two, Kyle, and then you can give us your three. So this upcoming Friday, I'm going to see Noah Grubbs, Notre Dame's quarterback commit in the 2026 class. I've met Grubbs in person before. I have not been able to see him in action, so I really wanted to go to a practice. I love going to like fall camp practices, but with my schedule this month, I was really only to make it down to this preseason classic that he has next Friday. So I will be there for that, and then I'll certainly try. I have a ton of family in Florida, so I'm going to try to make it down for one of Grubb's games this fall. It's just tricky with the baby coming in October, and it's like October I can't really do anything. November it's tough. Like September is even kind of tricky. So like later this month, early September, probably even late September too. Going to as many high school games and whatnot as I can. So Grubbs was definitely one that I needed to go see. Lake Mary, Florida. I guess I did see him in action at the Irish Invasion camp. I lied. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing Noah Grubbs this upcoming Friday. So a week from today in pads in a game environment for a preseason classic. Grubbs committed to Notre Dame over Florida, Michigan, Ohio State, bunch of other programs, UNC, Miami. We're in the mix for him as well. I think it really came down to Notre Dame, UNC, Miami, actually. Fired up to see Grubbs in person. Big quarterback, strong arm, fun offense to watch. They really sling the ball around. I started the show by talking about Dallas Golden, and I'm going to finish as well with him. He is a really fun to watch football player. I mean, Kyle, when we go out on the road to see recruits, we want to see players who are going to give us some content, right? Some things to talk about, some good footage. Like, I love safety recruits, but sometimes it's tough because maybe they don't get the ball thrown near them. Maybe their front seven just eats up all the runners and they don't do anything. Sometimes that happens when you go see a safety. But Dallas Golden, as a corner, that could be the case. But he's also going to get a ton of touches on Friday nights because he plays on offense. He plays on special teams. Dallas Golden, someone who just makes plays all over the field. Really looking forward to seeing Dallas Golden. Kyle, we're going to go to your three next, and you can just kind of give them an order here, whatever order you want to go in.
Yeah, I'll save the first one I sent you for last. So I'll touch on the two guys. I've actually already talked about two of them, Gordy Solstead and Mikhail Blade, both defensive linemen. We'll start with Solstead, who is committed to Notre Dame out of Cincinnati St. Xavier. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, seems like a little bit more developmental of a prospect in terms of when he'll be ready to play at Notre Dame. Has to add some weight. But I'm not as concerned about that as many others. But yeah, this was one like, I don't know if you call him a diamond in the rough, but it was one that was like, Mike, Notre Dame, every cycle, man, they got like two or three of these guys that nobody knows about, and they work in silence, and they flip them out of nowhere. And Gordy Solstead was one of those guys. So naturally, I am intrigued to learn more about him. Like, Gordy doesn't talk to me a whole lot. So I want to get to know him a little bit. He's from my home state. He goes to Jesuit high school just like I did. So some common ground there. Look forward to talking to Gordy and seeing him this fall, and yeah, excited to see what he could potentially bring to the Notre Dame defensive line, because I think that he's going to be coming to South Bend like it's a big mold of clay, and is going to have Lauren Lando's top priority.
All right. And Mikael Blade from Chicago Simeon. Talked about him earlier.
Yeah, no, like I've said, I mean, I've seen him a couple times in person, but just not in like non-competitive settings. Just kind of seeing him photo shoots and showing up at Notre Dame and things like that. So I really, really want to see this guy play, man. He's on the same D line now as Chris Burgess at Chicago Simeon. And the thing that stinks about some of the CPS school games, they're usually on Saturdays, which conflict with Notre Dame's schedule. So, but with that said, they might have a couple Friday games this year. So I'm hoping to get out there to Chicago. And, I kind of said it earlier, man, like, I think this is the premier defensive line recruit, might be the premier recruit in Chicago this entire cycle. I like Mikael Blade a lot. And I just want to see if he can kind of verify my thoughts, basically what I've seen from him just in person, if that kind of matches up with his potential on the field.
And lastly, someone who we've talked about before on these shows, it's been a couple weeks, Brandon Logan from Fort Wayne, one of the few 2025 recruits left on the board for Notre Dame that's like publicized at this point. Someone who is currently committed to play baseball at Vanderbilt, has some football offers, just not a big social media guy, not really putting all of his business out there. I think he's got more opportunities than maybe people even understand or know about. Brandon Logan, Fort Wayne Snyder, 6 foot, 180-pound safety.
He's a dang good football player, man. I remember, when we go to the Irish Invasion, you're a big quarterback guy, so naturally you're usually covering the quarterbacks in the offense, and I usually have the defense. I think that's the way it's been the last 2 years. And Brandon Logan wasn't a guy that when we got the roster who I was kind of thinking about seeing, but I remember seeing him stand out. And I remember watching him compete, and I'm like, man, if Notre Dame, if they have a spot in this defensive backfield, I think Brandon Logan could be a guy that would do incredibly well. And now he's got a Notre Dame offer and a chance to end up in the class, I think. And just a really talented prospect that I think also really complements well with what Notre Dame already has. Obviously, as you mentioned, he's an outstanding baseball recruit, so he's an elite athlete. He's an outfielder, so, he can cover a lot of ground on the baseball diamond. He can do the gridiron playing safety. So I'm looking forward to getting out to Fort Wayne here in a couple weeks to see what he looks like in person, because I have a feeling I'm going to come away impressed by Logan again.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's show. We are going to be moving this show from Friday. This is what we did last year, and I thought it would work well for us. We do Fridays in the off season, Thursdays during the football season, and the reason for that is Kyle and I travel a lot on Fridays, especially Kyle. Maybe not with me as much with newborn baby coming this fall, but yeah, like I'm heading out next Friday to Orlando, and it's like can't really do a show when I'm in the car for a long time. So yeah, we're gonna move it to Thursdays. So our show lineup for this fall, once we get to game week, we're gonna have programming pretty much every day in terms of live shows, and that's not even counting the different update videos that we do. But Tuesday night, you got me and Tim Hyde. Wednesday night, you got Horka and Sobel. Me and Kyle will be on Thursdays, and then me and Goolsby on Sundays after those games, and then post game shows, of course. So. Yeah, I think the only day of the week we won't have something is Mondays and Fridays. So, and then we'll have videos on those days as well. So, yeah, you definitely are going to want to stay locked into the Blue and Gold YouTube channel here. Hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel for more content. I did want to say real quick, hashtag get Matt did want to say real quick, get Matt his pulls back. Whoever broke into Matt Freeman's car, please give him his fishing poles back. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. Folks, appreciate you watching. And as always, we'll catch you next time.